Every preference within the MBTI or the Myers-Briggs type indicator really has an effect on how a person is going to make their decision. It really is part of that decision-making style. So we're going to look a little bit at how each of these preferences approach the decision-making process, and you'll be able to really understand how a personality or a person is going to be impacted by an impending decision. First, we want to look at the extrovert versus the introvert. So an extrovert really likes to process things verbally. They're a verbal processor. So whether they're going to talk it through by themselves or with others. And they usually tend to respond in a very energetic, animated way. They're going to talk with their hands. They get excited. They want to have a lot of data, especially external data, that is going to impact them. They want breadth. They want to know lots of different options, more than really the depth of an option. They're going to also consider the impact on things exterior to them before others. And because they are verbal, they tend to share a lot of their thoughts and their feelings. In contrast, our introverts want to be able to think things through first, and they're going to respond in a very measured, almost a way in which they are pondering as they speak, and they're going to start with internal information. They want to know depth and how it's going to impact themselves and then others. After they have thought things through, they've listed their pros and cons, and they really understand things, then they're willing to share their thoughts and even their feelings with other people, but they tend to share them first with those that they trust most. When we look at the sensing versus the intuition, a sensing person, remember, is really interested in details and facts. And because of that, they're going to really have a great desire for data. They want valid and reliable data before they make a decision. And they're going to create and collect as much data as they can. And they're going to want to be able to focus on the present and consider their reality. Now, as they're making a decision, they're going to really value any information that they receive that regards past decisions or past information, because that's going to create a pavement for them to understand how a future decision may be made and what the impact might be. When we look at someone with intuition, they are all about the dreams, the possibilities, the novelty, the future. They love to look at a variety of things, and because of that, they tend to jump from one idea to another very quickly. They also look at the future. What is the dream? They want to have information, but only as they are able to look for it in meanings and in patterns and associations. They really want to be able to anticipate what might come by understanding patterns that they're seeing within the current environment. Thinking and feeling have their own preferences and decision making as well. So the thinking people want explanations for everything, and they really are logical based. They need logic in everything. They are very interested in the pros and the cons because they want to be able to understand the consequences for any kind of structure or any kind of principle or any kind of information that is coming their way. And they also are very interested in what is just. So if you are talking to someone and they are concerned about what is fair for everybody, you're looking at somebody who has a thinking preference. They also tend to really approach a decision objectively, very disconnected. So they're going to list more pros and cons that are related to what is the best outcome, what is going to be the best way to handle things, instead of looking at the feelings and the emotions. And they're going to challenge a decision before they're really able to accept it, as well as challenging data and any information that goes along with that decision. The feeling person is very opposite of this. They're more interested in motivation and values and people and feeling. But one of the most important things to remember about this feeling preference is that this personality type really enjoys and needs harmony. They are going to respond to everything in a very personal manner, which means that when things don't go right, you might see that they get very stressed out, emotional, and those emotions are going to bind up and they're going to get very frustrated. And they're going to generally tend to be the first one to accept a decision over other personality types, but only once they understand and they're able to really examine the consequences for all the relationships and the people within their lives, their community, and even sometimes a broader sense of out into the world as well. Lastly, looking at our judging and our perceiving. Our judges are very decisive and they want to make a decision right away and to have closure. And once that decision is made, they want progress to be made on that decision. They are going to be very committed to whatever decision is made and they're going to work for a solution. Now, they also are going to be very, very discomfortable or uncomfortable rather when they are not seeing a decision made or there's any kind of stalling going on because they need certainty. They need certainty in their life and they need certainty when it comes to their decision-making process. When there's any kind of upheaval or they don't have that firm foundation that goes along with having a decision made, then they are going to feel very stressed out and overwhelmed. The perceiving personality type wants to postpone a decision. And the reason they want to delay this decision-making process is because they want the time to be able to collect all the information that they can. They need a lot of time to do that. And they also want time to process the information. They're going to list the pros and the cons, and their pros and cons aren't going to be a list like a judging personality, but if they were to look at it more in a picture format, it'd be more like a web. Here's your pros, which relate to this, which relate to that, which relate to this. They want to look at every option possible. And because of that, they are open to changing the solution even after it is done. They do not like it when people are going to reject a decision or an option for the decision before their time because they want to be able to collect more information. They need the flexibility in order to accept as much information and the time in which to do it.